No matter how great you are at acquiring new customers, if you don't have a way to actually retain those customers, if you keep churning those customers, you'll never get to compounding levels of ARR in your SaaS business. But here's the question. How do you actually architect a proper retention process? How do you reduce churn? How do you ensure that you actually keep your customers? How do you make sure that they're happy and successful so that you can actually compound your revenues and drive to that next stage of growth? In this episode, I'm gonna walk you through, there's a lot of these. I'm gonna walk you through the 7 key strategies that you can use to reduce churn, increase retention, and compound the growth of your SaaS business. And when you implement these 7 key strategies, you will be able to accelerate your path to that next stage of growth. Intro. What's up, everybody? Welcome to Unstoppable. I'm TK, and on this channel, I help SaaS founders like you grow your SaaS businesses faster with an unstoppable strategy. Now, if you're new to this channel, welcome. I drop an episode every single Sunday with actionable strategies and tactics from the trenches on how to grow your SaaS business faster. So if you're new, be sure to hit that subscribe button and that bell icon. That way you'll get notified every single time I drop an episode with the TK energy. Now, if you're already part of this community, if you're a member of my SaaS go-to-market coaching program, if you're a customer of one of my SaaS companies, people, welcome back. It's really awesome to see you over here. I remember when we hit $1 million of ARR in my last company, ToutApp. We had just raised our Series A, and I was at a happy hour, and I was trying to figure out what actual next leader should I hire for the company. Now, common knowledge says you should hire a VP of sales because you want to get to $1 million to $3 million in ARR. And from 3 million, you want to get to 6 to 10 and so on and so forth. But the OG, the godfather of SaaS, pulled me aside, Jason Lemkin, and he told me, listen, before you hire that VP of sales, you should really lock down that VP of customer success. This was really great advice. It made a ton of sense to me. Lock down what you have and then look at growth, even though he always talks about hiring that VP of sales. So I said, okay, let's go hire a VP of success. So I went to the other OG of SaaS, one of the greatest people in SaaS, Nick Mehta. And Nick Mehta, I told him, he's the CEO of Gainsight, told him, hey, I need a customer success leader. Who should I hire? And he introduced me to Cliff Kate. Cliff Kate is the head of restaurants at Yelp now, but back then he was my VP of customer success, and I learned everything about customer success from him. That heralded in a few years of compounding growth for ToutApp and incredible retention for our customer base. So in this episode, I'm gonna walk you through the 7 key strategies that I learned in actually scaling that company. Now, if you're excited to dig into principle number 1, go ahead and smash that like button for the YouTube algorithm, and let's dig right into it. So principle number 1 is to establish a medium to high touch onboarding process. Now, this can come in a couple of different ways depending on your deal sizes. This could be a one-on-one call, this could be a webinar, or it could be step-by-step training that you include as part of the subscription to your product that teaches your customers on how to set up the product for success. This is super important. What this does is before a customer ever thinks about churning, before they even fail at using your product, before any of those things happen, you take a proactive approach of onboarding them and setting them up for success. Now, I've seen companies even at $99 a month that run webinars for onboarding or do one-on-one VIP onboarding because they know the lifetime value is totally worth it. Now, you'll have to make a decision on what you can afford. If you're in the early stages, maybe it makes sense to do one-on-one even though it won't scale. If you're in the mid to late stages, you may have to do one-to-many, or your deal sizes are big enough to do one-to-one. Either way, the first principle that works wonders on all the companies that I coach today is to establish a medium to high touch onboarding process. This will ensure that the first 5 minutes of your customers in your product, they're set up for success and they get to some sort of an aha moment. Now, principle number 2 is to actually design your new user experience to drive to an aha moment. Every single product has an aha moment. They click a certain number of buttons, they use a certain feature, they go through a certain product loop, and the customer gets to a point where they reach their aha moment where they're like, oh my God, that's incredible. Your product has that aha moment. And what you want to do is you want to make sure you architect a way where customers can get to that aha moment as quickly as possible, with as few clicks as possible, with as little complexity as possible. The quicker your product can take a customer in their new user experience to an aha moment, the quicker they're going to get hooked. The quicker they're going to get that reward of using your product, and the more likely they are going to be successful. So principle number 2 is to design a new user experience in your product that drives your users and your customers to an aha moment as quickly and effectively as possible. Principle number 3, this I establish in every single SaaS company that I run today. We use that, tout that, we use that. Every company that I coach, I encourage them to do this. Principle number 3 is to design an automated weekly report that gets sent out. This weekly report can do 3 things. 1, it can highlight the progress, it can show next steps, and it can also link them to helpful articles. Now, this could link back to an onboarding call again. It could link back to helpful articles or training, or back into the product for them to get into the new user experience and keep using the product. So this can actually be a dual flank strategy where this weekly report reinforces their usage of the product, encourages them to keep using it, and continues to set them up for success and activate inside of the product. Principle number 4 is to offer expert services. Now, this is something where for a bit of time, services became a dirty word in SaaS. Everyone just wanted to sell product and they didn't want to have services revenue. Services revenues is not the same as recurring revenue. I get that. However, customers want expert services and they're willing to pay for it because it de-risks their investment and they know it ensures that they're set up for success. They want to pay you for expert services. So if you can hit up your customers and say, hey, look, for an extra $1,000, we will connect you to the experts of our product and they'll work with you until you're successful in the product, you'll be shocked on how many customers will actually go for it. Why? Because they actually want to be successful with the product. They want it in as little time as possible. And if they can work with an expert to actually establish all of this and set all this up, they're more than happy to actually pay for it. Now, this is a distinction that you can decide on whether you want to charge for these expert services or you want to make it completely free. You could bundle it in as part of the initial purchase price. You have a lot of different levers and it depends on your ideal customer, but you absolutely must offer expert services. And again, what this does is it ensures that your customers are using your product effectively and they know how to actually set it up and they're using it on a continual basis because experts will show them. Now, the greatest example of this is Apple Genius Bars. You go to an Apple Genius Bar completely for free. They'll help you with things and they even have paid education classes. So Apple is one of the best at activating their customers and getting their users to use their products. And they have incredible products. On top of their incredible products, easy to use intuitive products, they use these strategies to drive up retention and success in their customer base, which means so can you. All right, I have a bunch more, but before we go into the rest of the principles, and I also have a bonus one in the end that teaches you how to actually drive expansion on top of retaining your customers. Before we go into all of that, let me pause here for a second. Are you starting to see the power in this? Are you starting to see the power of getting proactive about your customers so that you can actually reduce churn and increase retention? So much of it is dealing with the success of the customer up front, of onboarding them properly, of getting them to an aha moment, of reinforcing their usage of the product. All these little things makes it where they never get to an unhappy state. It ensures that your customers are set up for success, which is the whole point of all of this. And when they're successful, they're more likely to use your product and the rest of your growth flywheel kicks in, where all the way down the line, they may even recommend your product to others as well. Now, before I go into the rest of the principles, if you're getting value from this, can I just get a yes in the comments below? And also, smash that like button for the YouTube algorithm. It just loves it when you do that. Also, retaining your customers is one thing. At the end of the day, you also have to bring in net new customers. So once you get all these retention plays in place in this video, you'll want to get net new customers to drive that growth. That's what drives full compounding. Now, if you're in that stage where you're looking to figure out how to drive top line growth, you should also grab a copy of my 5-point SaaS growth strategy guide. Retention is just one of the key strategies. There are other key strategies to drive top line growth. You don't have to go anywhere right now. I'll tell you about it at the end of this episode after the bonus tip I have for you, and I'll also link to it below. Let's go to principle number 5, strategy number 5. Strategy number 5 is to hold quarterly business reviews. Holding quarterly business reviews with your customers is one of the best ways to check in on their progress, talk to them about why they bought the product in the first place, highlight their progress, and identify opportunities for them to use more of the product, more of the features, and even upgrade to bigger tiers of the platform and pay you more money, essentially. So QBRs are one of the greatest things that you can do on a quarterly basis, quarterly business review with your customers to make sure they're set up for success. Now, if you have a $99 a month customer, you likely can't do a one-on-one QBR. It won't be worth it. So you may be able to invite them to a quarterly webinar and do them in a group. But if you have $1 million a year customer, or even $1,000 a month customer, it may be worth it for you to do quarterly business reviews because it will actually increase your lifetime value, increase the retention, and it will help you identify if there are any issues. But more importantly, it'll also help you identify if there are upsell opportunities and cross-sell opportunities in that account. Now, if you want to dig into exactly how to do QBRs, I did an entire episode on this. You can check it out over here. I'll link to it below. You don't have to go anywhere right now, but that gives you a detailed overview on how to run these QBRs effectively, especially if you're in the upper mid-market and the enterprise tiers. All right, principle number 6 is you want to teach customers how to go from basic to pro. This is super important. A lot of times people obsess about, well, how do I retain? How do I reduce churn? How do I upsell? What they forget is, look, forget all of that. That's you thinking about what you want for your business. If for a second you think about the customer's journey and you think about how they go from a beginner and a basic user of your product to a pro, and you think about the key stages they have to go through, they have to first unlock this aha moment, and then this aha moment, and then this aha moment. If you can map that out, that alone will help you rethink your pricing. It'll help you rethink your customer journey. It'll help you rethink your new user onboarding. It'll help you rethink your messaging. All those things comes together when you think about the customer journey of going from basic to pro. So the 6th principle that you really want to figure out is, what is your customer journey on going from basic to pro? And if you can map that with your pricing and how you educate your customers and how you serve your customers and how you train your customers and even offer expert services to your customers, then you are actually enabling the customer success journey. And when you're doing that, your customers will never leave you. They'll always come to you for help. They'll always look to get to the next level of usage for the product. And they'll also teach their peers about how to get to the next level, which creates a whole flywheel of growth for your business. So one of the biggest things I've learned is, don't just obsess about what you want, but think about how you can teach your customers on how to go from basic to pro, and that will ensure that you actually retain your customers and drive expansion. Now, all 6 of these, what they do is it sets up your customers for success right from the beginning. And because you're putting in all these systems inside your product, on the onboarding calls, on the weekly reports, and all these other pieces that we've talked about, you're going to ensure that your customers are set up for success. But there's also a dialogue happening if they do get stuck. If they get stuck, they'll come to you and you'll be able to direct them to the right resource so that they don't just get frustrated and leave, but they actually get your help and get success inside of the product. One of the key things that we learned is sometimes customers won't come to you. Sometimes customers won't engage. Sometimes you don't really know if they're gonna churn or not. Maybe you'll look at product usage, maybe not, but sometimes people will just surprise you. So the 7th principle, which is super important, is to run NPS surveys. This is something that I do inside of all of my SaaS products. We did this back in ToutApp. I learned how to do this. And also we do it in all of our services businesses as well. We run a simple NPS survey that sends out an email asking, hey, on a scale of 0 to 10, how likely are you to recommend us to a peer? This is something that we run using Megaphone. Megaphone is one of the companies that I own, and Megaphone runs these NPS surveys for you in a simple email to your customers. This does 2 things. The first thing it does is it tells us who's happy and who's not. So in addition to all of these other things that we're doing to ensure customers get to a happy spot, that they are successful, we're also pulse checking them on exactly where they are, where their mindset is at. This is one of the best ways when you run them on a quarterly basis to predict churn. So you're doing all of these things to make sure that you're there for them, but for the quiet ones or the passive ones or the ones that surprise you or the ones that are gonna leave and have made up their minds but they're not engaging with you, you can do a simple NPS survey to get an early warning on them. And 2 things come out of this. This is where my bonus principle comes in. The first thing is, you know who's unhappy. And if they are unhappy, because they'll tell you, look, on a scale of 0 to 10, I'm at a 0 or I'm at a 3, which means that they're not a net promoter. They're not gonna recommend you others, which means that they're unhappy. So now you know, and you can actually go after them in a very focused way to understand what's going on. You can get them on a call, you can do another onboarding, you can give them training, you can give them 3 free months to fix their problems, any number of those things. Now this is where the bonus principle comes in. This is where Megaphone shines as well, which is why I use it. And this is why I started the company. What Megaphone will also do is, for the people that say, yeah, I would totally refer you, it takes them to a page to actually ask them for a referral. Remember what I was telling you about when you start retaining your customers, this can actually become a growth engine for you. 1, because you can actually retain those customers and your revenue base compounds with new customers coming on. You don't have a leaky bucket. 2, you can drive for expansion opportunities and cross-sell opportunities on those onboarding calls and those QBRs. But number 3, when you start asking your happy customers for referrals, that gets you net new customers, which creates an entire flywheel for growth. If you want to use Megaphone, I'll include the link below. You can go to usemegaphone.com. It will do the NPS survey and the referral engine for you. It's super awesome, especially for SaaS companies. All right, let's recap all the principles we talked about. Number 1, in order to retain more of your customers, to reduce churn, to increase retention, to drive up expansion and cross sells, and then ultimately get referrals so you can drive top line, to get that full flywheel going, here are the 7 plus 1. I have a bonus 1 that I shared. So 8 key principles that you can follow. Number 1, you should do a medium to high touch onboarding. Number 2, inside your product, you should create a new user experience that drives to an aha moment. Number 3, you want to do a weekly report that shows the progress, shows next steps, links to help. Number 4, you should offer expert services. Offer it for free if you like, but charge money for it. People want to pay for expert services so they can de-risk their investment. Number 5, hold quarterly business reviews, especially if your deal sizes allow for it. The link to that video on how to run these is below. Number 6, teach customers how to go from basic to pro. Don't obsess about how you drive expansion or what your pricing should be. Think about the customer's journey from basic to pro. Map it out on what the aha moment is for each of them, what the pricing plan should be for each of them, what the training session should be for each of them, and serve your customers from that lens, and you will increase retention and drive growth. And number 7, run an NPS survey every 3 months. Megaphone will do this for you. And for the ones that are not a net promoter, which means 0 to 6, it'll flag it for you so you know who's unhappy so you can go after them and prevent the churn. But for the ones that are 7, 8, 9, and 10, ask them for a referral so that not only are you retaining customers, you are getting referrals from them and you're unlocking the full flywheel of growth. So now you know the 7 principles that I have learned the hard way so you don't have to, and you can implement in your business to reduce churn, increase retention, increase expansion, increase cross sells, increase referrals, and drive growth. This is just one of the key ways to drive growth for your SaaS business. One of the fundamental ways, because if you have a leaky bucket, why get new customers? Because you're just gonna lose that revenue anyway. So you wanna fix this. Now, there are other ways to drive top line growth for your SaaS business as well. So if you're looking to learn on all the ways to drive growth for your SaaS business, then you should grab a completely free copy of my 5-point SaaS growth strategy guide. It's completely free. It's chock full of in-depth resources on how you can drive growth for your SaaS business, build out a proper scalable go-to-market strategy, and it even includes information on how you can work with me to implement everything that I've taught in this video and all the other videos that I have on this channel. So to grab your copy, just go to getunstoppable.com/strategy. getunstoppable.com/strategy. It is an incredible resource. We've had tens of thousands of downloads of this. We've had so much great feedback from it, and it links to all of my best videos. It's an incredible resource, so make sure you grab your copy. If you got value from this video, which hopefully you did if you're still watching, please smash that like button for the YouTube algorithm. It just loves it when you do that. If you are part of a WhatsApp group, a Slack group, if you're part of a mailing list, if you're part of a Reddit group, you know other SaaS founders that would get value from this video, please share this with them, DM this to them, whatever works for you. We want to help as many SaaS founders as possible build incredible companies. Also, I drop an episode every single Sunday with actionable strategies and tactics from the trenches on how to grow your SaaS business faster. So be sure, if you haven't already, to hit that subscribe button and that bell icon, where you'll get notified every single time I drop an episode. And lastly, remember, everyone needs a strategy for their life and their business. When you are with us, yours is going to be unstoppable. I'm TK, and I'll see you in the next episode or inside the 5-point SaaS growth strategy guide. Say that 10 times fast. getunstoppable.com/strategy. Also, all the other videos I mentioned are linked in the description below, including the link to Megaphone. So everything's there for you. Thank you, everybody. I'll see you soon. Take care. Let's recap everything that we covered. This was a lot, so let's 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay. Woo! That one felt good.